video, kind of like products I'm reaching for at the moment, and it's face products, so everything from cleansing up to finishing powder pretty much. So I'll start off with kind of the order of how I apply it, or how I apply everything. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the cleanser I've been using all the time lately. It's a milk or cream cleanser, however you want to call it. Well, it's not really creamy, it's just more milk, I suppose. It's the Garnier Skin Naturals Soft Essentials Rose Extract Milk. It's for the dry, sensitive skin, and it's got a really nice fragrance. It's I think it's got kind of a rose fragrance, but some people might find that a bit too much. It was about $3 something that I paid for it. I think it was just in Dunnes Stores here in Ireland. Then to remove the cleanser, I've been using the simple toner. They only have one, I think, as far as I know. It's 100% alcohol free, and that's why I like it. It's good for sensitive skin. So it's just a really basic toner. If I don't use this, I might use like rose water from the supermarket, but I just find that water isn't always enough to get rid of like every last bit of residue of the cleanser. So that's why I always use a toner. And then that's it just for the cleansing wise. Then just before I put on my moisturiser, I've been using Fix Plus. I've been kind of on a bit of a Fix Plus frenzy lately, and I literally just spray that all over my face, and then leave it so that there's a bit of moisture between my face and the cleanser when I put it in, so that the moisture will be heading into my skin, because my skin is quite dehydrated in places at the moment. For daytime, I haven't actually been using a cleanser too often. I was using my MAC Studio Fix. Is it Studio Fix? My MAC Studio Moisture Fix with the SPF 15 in it, and that's run out. So what I've been doing lately is I've been actually using an Aldi product. It's Liqueur Face Care, and it's the multi-intensive serum for long-term moisturising. This, I saw it, it was in I think You magazine. It's an Irish like glossy magazine we have here, a bit like I don't know, Glamour or Look, and there was like a best of beauty awards there recently, and this one, so this was like one of the best serums that you can get. So I've been like slathering myself in this at night time, my face, and then during the day I just use one pump, and I've been applying this only where I am dry. So I'm oily in the center of my face, so along kind of the T-zone, not really too high up in the forehead, but just like say this area, and under here it dries out a little bit again. So it's literally the perimeter of my face, and I've been applying the serum there during the day, and then anything that's left over that I don't put on my face, I just pop on my neck. For me, eye cream then is extremely important. I'm just really conscious about you know, preventing fine lines and just aging of the skin. So I think it's really important to keep that area as moisturised as possible. And what I've been using is the m.i.a Moisture Lush Eye Cream. I only have a wee sample. I got a wee sample to check it out, and I love it. So I just apply that all around, kind of pat it along the orbital bone of my eye. You don't need to physically bring it up right in there, because your body warmth will help any product migrate up where it's needed. I like this product as well because it has a slight pink hint to it, which will help brighten up the area. Also because I pluck so often, like almost daily, I like to moisturise that area. And the final thing I do before applying foundation is to apply a primer. I won't use a serum and a moisturiser together during the day. It's too much, especially if I'm using any other products on top. The more products you put on your face, the less chance you'll have of having your makeup last, because it's just too much stuff that's liable to move and slither around the place underneath your makeup, especially if it's a bit warm. So it's not good to pile your face up with loads of products. So I either use that serum or moisturiser, and since it's a serum today, I'm leaving it at that, and then just using a primer over it. It's actually the Clinique Super City Block in SPF 40. So this is like the triple whammy of, you know, being a you know, a face protector against all the bad stuff out there in the air. It has the SPF of 40, which is really important for me, and it works pretty well as a primer. So I just applied that over my face there, and if I'm outside doors and it's really sunny, I'll apply it everywhere. But if I'm indoors all day and I really don't have to worry about any kind of sunlight or the elements, I will really only apply it in the center where my makeup will tend to disappear later on during the day, and it helps that last a bit longer. So that's everything I do then before I apply my makeup. Then for me, the foundation of the moment has to be the m.i.a Lasting Silk UV Foundation SPF 20. I am just obsessed with this foundation at the moment, mainly because colour match is so unbelievably perfect. I mean, you can probably even see in this light, I have a bit more pigment on my face than I do down here. It needs to be lightened up a little bit, as I do not use any like tan or like bronzing anywhere else, so I want it to match up. And this is perfect for that without making me look ghostly, which is really important. So I kind of have 1.5 pumps, and that's pretty much what does me. And I just apply that to the back of my hand. And then to apply this, I use my m.i.a foundation brush. So it's a duo fiber brush like this. It's pretty much like a duplicate for the 188 MAC brush, but the 188 MAC brush is a little bit longer and it's not quite as dense, it's a little bit more flimsy. So it's kind of like if the 188 started to morph into that newer, smaller 130 but stopped about 1/3 of the way. That's kind of what this is, but it has a short handled brush, which is great for me because I use it for my personal brush collection. So I just apply a little bit of that to the tips of the brush and then just dot it all around my face. I kind of do the bottom half first and then the top. My forehead needs a bit less coverage than everywhere else, so that's why I leave it to last. And I just start buffing it in with the brush. I don't bother with that stippling thing. I don't have the patience and I don't see the benefits of it enough, so I just buff it in. One thing I've stopped doing when I'm using matte oil-free foundations, not even matte but just more the oil-free ones, is I tend to not bring it right up to underneath my eye, because that's an area on me that can tend to look quite dry and dehydrated sometimes, and when that happens it accentuates, you know, expression lines and fine lines. So I try to leave that area alone. With moisturizing foundations it's fine, but otherwise I just put it here on the top lid, which can get dry sometimes but not enough that it is bothered by that, and obviously I don't have to worry about lines and stuff up there. So it's good. I just like to do that to take away any, you know, discoloration. I can get a bit ready over the eyes, so it's nice to just even everything out. And then I usually use my finger just to spread the rest of it out. One of the things I adore about that m.i.a foundation as well is it kind of reminds me a little bit of the HD Makeup Forever foundation, but it's like everything that foundation wasn't for me, in that it's like it that it gives good coverage without needing too much product on it, but I just didn't really like how the HD foundation settled on my skin, whereas this one settles really, really well, which is obviously brilliant. And then for my under eyes, I have been using something a bit more moisturizing lately. So it's the Screen Face. I don't use this all the time. It kind of depends on whether I want something to last all day and if I can be bothered with touch-ups, because I do kind of need to touch this up. It can migrate a little bit, but I'd rather touch it up maybe 2 or 3 times a day and have it look grand, rather than have it look a bit dry and accentuate lines and not having to touch it up. So that's what I go for it. So it's this one here. I've shown it before. It has 3 different colours. So I mix a bit of the pink with a bit of the yellow, and just using this short-handed brush. It's actually like a brush that I got with the m.i.a eyeshadow palette that I got at Christmas time, and I apply it just there around the inner corners of my eyes, and see how much it brightens it up. It really works well. So the pink and the yellow, and then a little bit right up underneath my eye, because I tend to get a bit red there. So it's just like that. It really just brightens up the area, which I need because, you know, I tend to get quite purple there, which isn't as noticeable today. Some days it's worse than others. But that's the under eye concealer I've been using lately, which I love. So it's the I didn't even say that, did I? It's the Screen Face Pro Palette Concealer. The colours are medium, neutral, light amber and deep sand. So it's the medium, neutral and the light amber that I mix together. One thing I forgot to say that I do at the very start before I do any of this, like even moisturising business, is I apply lip balm. And it's the Cherry Kiss, the Rose & Co one that I did a video on like a few months ago because I just love it so much. And it just really softens my lips, and it's not like some other conditioners where you'll find that it softens really well for like an hour or two and then like suddenly your eyes are or your lips are parched unless you constantly reapply. This doesn't work that way. This actually keeps it softened for hours and hours and hours. So I maybe apply this like 2 or 3 times a day. I love this, but I think it's really important that you have really soft lips in case you do decide to use you know, lipstick or whatever later. And also in regards to the foundation, that Armani one is like literally my favourite one at the moment, but I did do a blog post there a couple of days ago on my top 5 like foundations for oily skin, oily combination skin, and then another blog post on my top 5 oily liquid foundations for like dry sensitive skin. So I'll just link to that blog just below in case you are interested in finding out other really good liquid foundations for whatever skin type you are. And then the only other thing I do like covering wise on my face is to add a little bit of concealer in just a couple of little areas. Now luckily my skin is doing pretty well at the moment, so I don't need too much coverage anywhere else, especially as this Armani foundation covers so well. But I get a little bit of the Dermacolor camouflage cream. I originally had it in the mini palette, the mini camouflage palette, and it ran out and it was the colour Ivory. So I got myself this big pot because I'll use it eventually and it'll last forever, but it's really great even for use on clients for covering like scars and tattoos or anything like that. And for Irish skin tones, this Ivory one just works on so many people because most people in Ireland, whether they want to be or not, are as pale as me. So that's this here, and I actually have some of it put into this little sample pot so that I'm not always constantly messing this up and opening it up unnecessarily and getting germs in it. Because there's a lot there and it'll probably take me a while to get through it, I want it to be exposed to air as little as possible. So I have my little bit in here, and I literally just get that little brush again, take off any bit of that other concealer, and whatever's on the lid here, I just apply a little bit around the sides of my nose. Like, this is a camouflage concealer, so it is a thicker concealer, but I apply quite sheer. I don't apply it as thick as you'd need if you were actually using it as camouflage. I have a little blemish here, so I just pop it on and then press it in, because your finger helps melt it into the skin as well. And the only other place really is my chin. And then I like to conceal a little bit down the middle of my nose because I'm very freckly there. You can see it in this light, and I find, like, particularly that freckle, if you can see it, yeah, I find it really distracting sometimes. And the amount of times I've had people come up to me before, say if I don't have makeup on or I didn't really cover it, and they're like, "You've got something on your nose, Siobhan, you've got a bit of dirt," and it's not. So I do like to just conceal that a wee bit. And then that's it as far as concealing goes. I like to use a little brush like this as well when it comes to concealing. I do have other concealer brushes, like this number 7 one I got recently. I really like it, but I mean, I just much prefer the smaller brushes. And I use the bigger brushes if I'm concealing, you know, particularly on clients, if someone has a larger area to conceal, like, I don't know, port wine stain, or I don't know, a lot of rosacea or something like that. So that's all the kind of cream or liquid products I'm going to put on my face. To set my foundation or my base, my must-have powder is this. It's the m.i.a Skin Finish, or Mineralized Skin Finish. These are hands down the best, I was going to say pressed, but the best any kind of formula powders I've ever tried. I mean, it is a mineral powder as well, so it's got really good stuff in it, but it just doesn't give that matte flat look that that a lot of other powders give, and it still sets foundation really well. And I find I don't need a huge amount of it. I don't really like to powder everywhere unless I have to. Like I won't powder say all around here unless maybe I'm using a powder like bronzer, or like when I say bronzer I use a very very light bronzer, but a powder bronzer or blusher or contour or whatever. And then I obviously have to powder a little bit down around my nose because that will shine later on in the day. And when I apply my powder, I don't sweep it on because I don't want to disturb any of the products I've already had on. Just press it in. And I love this brush. It's from ID Bare Essentials. It's the Flawless Face. It was just the finishing powder brush, I think. And it's not so dense to apply too much product, so it just applies the right amount, I find. So I just take away any lines that I might have gathered in my eye area and then press some of the powder into it. Now I personally don't bring powder right up underneath my eye because I don't like how it looks. And I mean, I already said that I'm happy to touch up under the eye area a little bit during the day if I need to, rather than, and have it look good rather than have it look too dry. So that's the powder. And then one thing I got recently was this Rimmel bronzer. It's in it's the light matte one. It's called the Sun Shimmer, but it's not shimmer, it's actually completely matte. But it's so light and it suits me so well. I actually just put some of it on there. So I use this Ruby and m.i.a blusher brush, which is kind of like a paddle blusher brush, and just swirl it around in the bronzer, and then just apply it up along the temples, and then kind of in circular motions along here, and definitely underneath the cheekbones a little. And you can see there it adds like a subtle colour. It doesn't actually look like I'm caked in bronzer. It looks more natural, which is really what bronzer should do. And my face still matches down here. I don't need to darken up down here, which is really important for me. And then I apply a little bit either side of my nose. I sometimes use like this is the Sigma 217 or any kind of blending brush just down around the end of my nose to help slim it a wee bit. And I just love the effect it gives because it doesn't look like I'm wearing bronzer, because I don't like most other bronzers. I find it really hard to find anything that's light enough for me. Another thing you can also do is get the whatever blending brush you want, swirl it around in the bronzer again, and then just really lightly contour above your crease line on your eye, or your your socket bone, and what's the word I'm looking for, the crease, just to help give it a little bit of definition. Adds a little bit of shadow, but it doesn't look like you're wearing like eye makeup. So swirl that around. That's enough. And then if you want to add a lip, sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. It depends on how much makeup really I'm wearing and how natural I want to look. But I might get a bit more of this. This is my Accentuate Sculpt by MAC, and I'll use the sculpt down here. You can see I've already hit pan, so I use it so often. It's much deeper colour than the Rimmel. I'll just show you them together. So this kind of adds a little bit more definition, and I won't put this everywhere. I'll just put it just underneath my cheekbone, so it gives a tiny bit more of a sculpted look, as the name is. And that's that. And then finally, how I finish off this, just for the face, is I used to use my MAC, what's it called? I'm always forgetting the name of it. It's a really light pink one. It'll come back to me. But anyhow, since I lost it, I've been using this one too. You might recognise the colour from this. It's this pink one. This is my Primark, the Happy Couple Bronzing and Blusher Duo. And this pink is a perfect duplicate for whatever the name of that MAC one is that I lost. So swirl my brush around in it, and then apply this to the apples of my cheeks. So that's the blush on. It has a very slight shimmer to it, but it's not in your face shimmery. And you can definitely skip the blush if you want, if you don't want to have that much colour in your face. But that's it basically anyhow, and you can go on into your eyes if you want, or keep them natural, it's up to yourself. But that's pretty much how I would do at the moment, how I do kind of like my most flawless face routine, I suppose. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you might have found this helpful in some way, and I'll be back really soon again for another video. I'm going to do a tutorial next. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you really soon.